I don't think a lot of people know. 90% of shoppers never get past page 1.
That's true. That's why sponsored products matter so much. Relevance is going to keep declining the further down you scroll. That's a lot like walking into a physical store. The things at the front of the aisle are always going to sell better than the stuff in the middle or the end.
Nick Gezzar,
former senior account executive at Amazon
and military intelligence officer,
equipping sellers with the right intel
for a profitable strategy with Amazon-sponsored ads.
One of the things you got to really know is ads is not really an optional part of the equation anymore.
Why is that?
There was a term we had in the Army, you have to fight for information. And that's kind of what you're doing here. To go in, spend some money, see what works, optimize from there.
As an Amazon seller's getting started, where would you say the first place to go to?
Sponsored products is table stakes. If you are going to be on Amazon, this is the bare minimum that you need to do to be relevant.
There's some people that say you cannibalize your organic trying to be the #1 sponsor. What's your opinion of that?
They call it the mere exposure effect in marketing. And what that does is it makes your brand appear more popular. This is something that I would advise every seller on Amazon to have.
Today, we're in part 4 of our series, How to Be a Better Amazon Seller When Using Amazon Ads. Things are getting expensive, pricey when you're using ads, so you want to maximize that budget. And joining me on this multi-part series is Nick Gezzar, subject matter expert, former Amazon employee in the ads division. Nick, what up?
Doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing fine. So on this particular part of our series, we want to jump into sponsored display. It's got a lot of mystery around it. It's got a lot of different aspects. It's very broad. You could do some targeting that you can't do on sponsored brands or sponsored products. Let's start just by saying, what is it and who is this for?
Well, this isn't any official books, but as I brought up before, you really need to make sure that you are doing these in the right sequence. Start with your sponsored products, layer on sponsored brands, and then if you want to take it to the next level and find a new channel, that's where sponsored display comes in. Sponsored display is frankly probably the least understood and the most mysterious of the 3 sponsored ads products out there. And really the way to think about it is sponsored products drives purchase, sponsored brands drives branding, and sponsored display drives consideration. So the way I kind of think of it is like you play chess.
A little bit. I know of it. So tell me about chess.
Learn the rules, right? But like the knight moves in a really weird way. 2 forward, 1 to the right. It can jump over other pieces. It's just this really unique, weird piece. You're not going to win the game with the knight alone, but it can be a critical part of winning the game. And nothing else functions quite like it. It's a specialized tool, really, is how to think of it. And what you can do with it. You know what? Can we maybe pull up the website again? We can look at.
All right, I'm on Amazon.com. Where would you like me to go?
You know what? Let's look at toasters.
Toasters.
I don't know why I keep coming back to toasters.
All right.
So here's Nick and Rolando buying a toaster oven because sometimes we just want to make those hot pockets. But when you look at the top there, Ninja is trying to sell us a product now. I'm not sure what exactly kind it is. Could be a toaster oven, could be something else, but they are merchandised right next to what we're looking at. If you scroll down, you'll often sometimes see another sponsored display ad on there. So what's neat about sponsored display, there we go. Not just a toaster, it's a revolution. There's a revolutionary toaster right there in that other sponsored display spot. Slightly different format. It's not as elongated to cover the entire bar. And actually you can see, I believe they're on the lower right.
This is
on bar?
On bar.
Aeon.
This is on bar. 10-in-1 air fryer.
Man. So that one got even more functions. So we were there just trying to buy this toaster oven, and all of a sudden we have a revolutionary toaster and a 10-in-1 function air fryer toaster. These things are merged right next to what we were looking at.
Darn you, display. If I'm Black & Decker, I'm like, darn you, Amazon. Why are you sticking all those ads for other people in the mix?
If they can include a circular saw in the oven, that'd be perfect. But the two tactics that you can do, and we're seeing one of these here. You can appear on competitor product detail pages.
Yeah.
So this OnBar and the Revolutionary Toaster, they want to show up here because they know, like, hey, Rolando and Nick are so interested in toaster ovens. They are looking at one, they're evaluating it. Let's get one more thing in front of their eyes.
Yes.
So maybe if they have a compelling enough offer, we would click on this Revolutionary Toaster. Maybe not.
And Nick, does it matter what price point my product's at? I mean, I see these price points right now. Obviously, we're looking at something that's not $20, but in this case, Black & Decker's at a $50 price point. Both of these competitors that are higher price points, they're advertising on here. Is there some consideration when you're targeting a product, say Black & Decker, and it's a lower priced option versus your option that's in this case almost 6x?
So again, this will depend on your particular situation as an Amazon seller. But if you know that there's a category leader and you can sneak into their detail page with a slightly lower price, maybe a slightly better product, yeah, then that probably fits because they were looking at this already. You don't want to go too far away. And it's also way harder to upsell.
Exactly. So this would be an upsell for both because at 160, you're almost 3x. You're definitely 3x here with OnBar, and you're at a higher multiple when we're talking this one, the 350, the Revolutionary one.
My general advice for what I've seen that works is you don't want to be upselling and switching brands. That's just asking too much. But let's imagine you're Black & Decker and you want to have a very nicely merchandised detail page. They could be purchasing sponsored display on their own detail page. Let's say, most manufacturers, they'll have to do a good, better, best strategy for how they want to have their products assorted. If this was the better, you could show the good and the best, be able to upsell them or give them a more affordable option in the same universe, if that makes sense. So that's the one strategy, is really just merchandising yourself.
So if Black & Decker were listening to this, or another seller, they've gone through the steps here. They're at this, we want to reach some more channels. If you were Black & Decker, you would advise them, maybe you tell them, maybe if you want to upsell, they put another Black & Decker that's above $50, and then maybe their mid-tier product somewhere. Or how would you go about doing that so that these competitors don't appear there?
So you can't always dictate where it will show up on the PDP. But I would have both of those options loaded and in your console ready to go with bids. Because ideally, you would want your product and then have your own products in that same line to go up or down in price and features.
Okay. Interesting.
And then if you were trying to do it on competitor PDPs, you want to have something that's going to either offer more features or a better price, or otherwise just kind of pull them away from whatever they're looking at.
Let me go to another brand that I think they do some of this. Let me see if they on their page.
Ooh,
Goli?
Yeah, vitamin type stuff.
Yes, so they do appear.
Oh, there we go.
They're here.
They're showing different flavors there. Is that the same product?
Yes. So this one is a different flavor. This is their apple cider vinegar Goli gummies versus the Beets. So we landed on the Beets gummy page, and then they've got the sponsored display with the Goli apple cider vinegar, the 2-pack.
Now, can you scroll up a little bit on that? Okay. So what they have there is interesting. I'm blanking on the actual word for it. But you see where you can select like the item package quantities 1, 3, or 5. Two of them are grayed out. Two lines below the price.
Right in stock.
No. To the left, like where you can choose the assortment.
Okay, I see. Then the variation.
Exactly. The variation selector in Amazon internal, we called it a twister, but I realize nobody else knows what that means.
No, I've never heard of twister. It's variations.
Variations, but twister is what they called it internally. But they can do a better job with these variations. Right now, all they have is different pack size quantities. They could put a different layer in there. You see this a lot of the time with things like shoes and shirts. We have to have like size and color. They could be doing flavor and package quantities, but because they're not, they obviously have a separate detail page for that. They're not under the same parent ASIN.
Yep.
This makes sense for them in a sense that they can merchandise their other flavors through sponsored display. Because this is the beet flavor cardio gummy, and I think the other one was apple cider vinegar. And then who's at the top?
This one
we
here,
can
the
see who's at
Super
the very
Beats.
top.
Oh, the very top.
Yeah, then we have Super
It
Beats
says
on the side and the very top.
Momentous Phagogia Argesis Agritas. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Capsules.
It sounds healthy, but they're trying to drag you to. They're trying to drag you to another brand. So you actually kind of see both tactics happening on this page at the same time.
Okay.
As you've mentioned, ads, they just kind of keep increasing.
Yes.
The amount of placements on this also continues to increase as there are 3 of these. Goalie bought one of their own, and competitors took the other 2.
Yeah, and look at what's happening here. Something interesting. You haven't seen this in a lot of the other pages where they're frequently bought together. So from a real estate perspective, and this is the term I like to talk to when I say to other sellers, you got to conquer the real estate on Amazon. Look at the real estate they're occupying. Normally, this could be a competitor or a competitor mixed in. Look at the next row below that. They are killing it. So you see a competitor snuck in here, over here on this, but you see a lot less of the competitors in the other parts of the real estate. It's amazing.
There's definitely some things they could optimize on this detail page, but I think they're doing a pretty good job for where they are. I think they should just have everything on the same variation in terms of having their different flavors up there, but they do have one of the placements and they have all those complimentary widgets on there that show things like bought together, see more from Goalie.
Yes.
So
explore more from, and those are all sponsored right here. These are all sponsored. Are these sponsored products that are over here?
I believe that is sponsored there. Yes. The ones above, frequently bought together, I think is actually algorithmically generated. So you could have seen competitors if they were frequently bought together, but it looks like Goalie buyers do buy a lot of Goalie, a variety of Goalie products at once.
Yeah. And they have commercials and all that other stuff, but it seems like they're pretty good with covering the real estate. And so display is one of those ways to get out there. So what else about display can you dispel? Give me a common myth, about display that is very easy to debunk.
Ooh, a common myth. It doesn't work.
That's the one I hear.
But that's just because the execution is critical on it. And you have to be very carefully evaluating your results the whole time. Again, like the knight in chess, you have to use it in that specific moment and in that specific way to be able to achieve your goals. You don't want to be just randomly putting it on unrelated products. You want to make sure there's like a logic to why it's showing up on that competitor detail page. And then also, it can be hard to measure when you have your own products merchandised on your detail page. It's hard to really conceptualize how many sales would I have lost had I not done this. One of those kind of unknowables. But again, this is very much a cherry on top to sponsored ads. And also, it is a little different from the others, whereas sponsored brands and sponsored products are all cost per click. You can also do VCPM as another billing method on this. Virtual cost per 1,000 views. CPM is an old term marketing term. The M means mille, it's French, but that just means you would pay a rate based on how many eyeballs have bid on that through clicks. And that also gives you another lever to look at. If you get a high rate of clicks, the VCPM might actually save you money. If nobody's clicking on it, well, if it's cost per click, that's not bad if it's just blocking your competitors from taking space on your page.
Ooh, so it could be a defensive strategy to keep the competition off of your page. So if you're not paying for that and you're using that, essentially the virtual cost per 1,000 views, then keeping your competitors off, even though not a lot of folks are clicking on it, may pay off.
It may. And then also, depending, again, on what your products are, you can very easily put complementary products on there. If you're selling
Okay.
printers, why not have toner? Why not have paper if you happen to make it yourself? There's a lot of other goods that can go along with that. So,
Mm.
if done properly, there are some very great uses for it, but it is also easy to set up a really bad campaign.
I'm going to see. We're just gonna.
There we
You
go.
said toner.
One thing you see some, yep. But I would actually look at the printers themselves
The printers.
because the printer is the
Okay.
base device, and that's what has all of the complementary goods.
HP printer. Let's see. Let's do all-in-one wireless. I'm just going to click on the number one and sponsored and see if they are employing that strategy. Okay, look at here. We got an HP toner.
Mm-hmm.
More frequently bought together, comes out with the printer and the toner. More frequently from the brand, we get some of their other printers and the toner. And then 4 stars and above, it's all HP. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they seem to understand what you just said. They're executing on that. I'm not seeing any non-HP sneak in here.
Scroll to the very top, though.
Okay. Brother is at the very top.
Not the same model I have, but I'm a Brother user. But they are there trying to draw you away. Price points higher, which is not necessarily the best. But again, a printer is a very high consideration item where people are really going to look at the features and make sure it's what they need. But HP is doing a great job of putting their own toner on there because there could be third-party toner manufacturers on there trying to steal those sales from them. So overall, this is actually a way better example than some of the other ones we looked at.
Awesome. So if you're a seller and you're considering some of these strategies, Nick, let's take a little bit of from part 1 to part 4. You said start with understanding your product, where your margins are at, so that you're profitable, and start with sponsored products, sponsored brands, and then the cherry on top would be the sponsored display. Anything else in that mix that sellers should be considering as they're adding these layers to their Amazon ad strategy?
I would just kind of build it from the bottom up, as we've been talking about. Start with your if you're just starting out, start with sponsored products. Get a feel for it. That's where your best returns are going to come from. That's how you really start showing up for the customer. Then layer on sponsored brands. That's how your name starts getting known. That's how you get people to that brand store, see the rest of your assortment.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're comfortable there and aren't finding room for improvement, sponsored display is really that final cherry on top, where it's like you get that beautiful merchandising like you'd have on an actual physical shelf. The kind of thing where it's like, dang, I got printer and toners on the same shelf. You're going to see your sales increase. But that can't be your first step. You got to start with the basics and work your way advanced.
Wow. Well, so there's a lot to consider. The ads aren't just one thing. There's more than one lever to play. There's several. You could use whatever analogy. You got a lot of tools in the toolbox and whatnot. When it comes to Amazon ads, it can be quite complex. And that's why I have subject matter expert Nick Gezzar join me on this multi-part series where we will help you become a better Amazon seller so that you could use your money more efficiently and have more left in your pocket at the end of the day. Nick, you want to say anything before we leave this series here and continue on?
Well, like I said, all of this advice depends on your business. So if you want actual personalized advice to help make yourself a more successful Amazon seller, come check out Gezzar Consulting. It's the consulting firm I founded after I left Amazon. And you can find us at www.gezzar.com. Might ask Rolando to put that in a little Chiron or something because it's not a common last name.
And we'll have it in the link so that if you want to reach out to Nick, get some of that expertise, have a call with him and see if what he can do for you will work, go ahead, hit him up at that link. We'll have the link in the description so you can have that consult with him. Nick, I want to thank you for helping us out here, understand the lay of the land. It's very fast and very moving. And you know what? We got to do this a little bit more of these multi-part series, educating the Amazon community on how to be a better seller.
Got a couple other topics in the hopper, so I think we'll make some content.
Okay, cool. I'm down for whenever you're ready. So thank you for joining us today, Nick. Thank you for joining us on this series of how to be a better Amazon seller. We'll see you next time.